Welcome to my next video HTML tutorials submitting HTML form. HTML form. Almost everything you want to collect information from a visitor to your site, you need to use a form. Some forms are quite complex, such as those that allow you to book plane tickets or purchase insurance online. Others are quite simple, such as search box on the page of a website like Google. Forms control. There are different types of form control that live inside the form element tag. To collect data from a visitor to your site, some of these controls are needed. So for a visitor to submit a form to your site, you need a form. And in needing a form, there are some tags that are needed inside the form. Such tags are, we have a text input controls, we have a buttons, we have checkbox, we have radio buttons, we have select buttons, sometimes called drop-down menus or list boxes. We have file select boxes. So these are some of the form or some of the tasks that we will be needing for submitting a form. Let me talk of submitting buttons. With the stack input type equal to submit. This defines a submit button. That is all what you need in a submit button. The input type should be submit and the value should be either submit or register or whatsoever you want it to be. So a submit button is used to submit form data to a server. The data is sent to the page specified in the form's actions attribute. The file defined in the action attribute usually does something with the received input. So for example, let's take a look at this HTML code below. So this is the first tag that we'll be using for a form. So the form tag consists of a form actions. That is where the URL of the form will be submitted. That is, we have HTTPS with // then www.example.com. That is the site or the URL that you type in .com or the whatsoever / site.php. We have a method attribute. The method attribute there is get, and the name attribute, that is FRS search, then the search itself. Then we have input type is text, name is equal to txt search, value is search for, size is 25, and maximum length is 64. So in this one is a text field that we use to insert a text. Then another tag is the input type, that is the submit button. This one is a button and the value is submit. Then you close the tag, the form tag. That is the end of your form. This form is describe a search button. You can type in a single line, then submit. Now I have a table that I will explain some of the attributes used in this HTML form. We have a type, we have the attribute and their purposes. We have a type attribute. This attribute is required and indicate the type of input control you want to create. The value of this attribute should be text or password, especially when you want to create a single line text or password. The attribute is required because the input element is also used to create other forms element. We have a name attribute. This attribute is also required and is used to give the name part of the name value pair that is sent to the server. We have another one is value. Provide an initial value for the text input control that the user will see when the form loads. You will only use this attribute if you want something to be written in the input when the page loads. We have a size. allows you to specify the width of the text input control in terms of characters. The search box in the earlier example is 25 characters wide. The size property does not affect how many characters users can enter. Maximum length, that is max length, allowed you to specify the maximum number of characters a user can enter into the text box. Usually, if the user keeps pressing more keys, no new characters will be added. So what is this one mean is that if you specify a maximum length of 20 characters or 25 characters, anything more than 25, the remaining one would not be typed. So this is another form which I want to use for another example. I want to draw another form to show some user some attribute, like we have a placeholder which was not used in the previous form, but I want to use it in this form for specification. We have the user input text, and we have a password infill field which the user will enter, while the user name has the input type, has the name, have value. The value you see is with double quote, which means the value is empty, and the size is 25. The maximum length is 25, while the placeholder is username here, and that is the same thing with password. Then we have another another one that I want to use is the text area. The text area used to insert message into a comment, and we have the input type of a submit button. Then you close the form. So I want to explain the two attributes that I listed. We have a placeholder. The placeholder property sets or returns the value of the placeholder attribute of a URL field. The placeholder attribute specifies a short hint that describes the expected value of an URL field, e.g. a sample value or a short description of the expected format. The short hint is displayed in the text field before the user enters a value. So a placeholder will be there with a gray color. Immediately you start to enter characters, the placeholder will disappear. So we have a method. The method attribute specifies the HTTPS, that is hypertext transfer protocol, or get or post to the user when submitting the form data. Get. The value method when submitting form is get. However, when get is used, the submission form data will be visible in the page address field, which is not advisable to submit a sensitive materials form. We have a post. Post always use post if the form data contains sensitive or personal information. The post method does not display the submitted form data in the page add field. Grouping form data with field set. You can also group your form into a field set. The field set element is used to group related data in a form. The legend element defines a caption for the field element. And we have example with this form. We have a form and we have a field set. We have a legend field, legend tag personal information. Then we have first name. We have input type. Then we have the last name. Then we have its own input type as input field. Then we will use a radio button for male and female radio button. Then we have the input submit button. Then this is how you close the field set. This is how, if you want to group the form using a field set, this is how the arrangement might be. You close your form. That is how my video tutorials ends today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for my new channel, and don't forget to subscribe for my next video that will come out. Keep watching as I keep updating you on HTML coding.